Goth Metal Lore will not be seen tonight. I'm going to move that to Thursday. We're going to have a very special presentation. So I think Thursday will be formerly known as Carly the Stranger. So with Paul Gerard's concept. So I'll move that to Thursday, and we have a very special presentation, a CBS special presentation. But no, here we go.
Your makeup's rubbing off. This is a trick. How are you doing this? Answer me! Whoever you are, leave me alone!
Oh, are we in for a treat? You know what today is? You know, we have the 25th anniversaries of certain games like Donkey Kong 64. It's the 25th anniversary of some of the Phantom Menace Star Wars games. But it's also the 25th anniversary of Superman 64. Oh, we're in for a treat. So these are sound bites. This is the highest quality of this game. But I got some. This is Long Plays YouTube. So yeah, I will say that the one thing they got right here was the city. Now there's the flying through rings. Now, I mean, before this, there was like the whole pilot wings. You know. So let me see. I'm gonna probably lower this a little bit because it's aggravating to hear. All right. So while he's flying through rings, that this player is stunning and brave for going through this. So thank the YouTuber here who's doing all this. Stunning and brave man. I assume it could be a woman, but I think mostly guys who have enough patience with this game. I just cheated. I took the easy mode. I didn't want to go through the rings. Anyway, we're going to look at some timelines here. Now, most of these are from IGN. Now, I'm going to read you articles while we look at this. And while we got my heavy metal Superman right there, because I was going to get Bizarro, but I didn't have enough time to get the Bizarro action figure from the animated series. So this is like, Bizarro was supposed to be in this game, by the way. But we're going to look at a timeline here. So let's start with one article. This is from April 23rd, 1997. Titus makes games 64 disk drive compatible. So this is official confirmation. So Titus is making... This is when they were still trying to deal with the 64 disk drive for the Nintendo 64. Obviously, that didn't work out too well. One of the things they were going to do was a sort of you could create characters and put them in your favorite games, which I was looking forward to that, by the way. I really was. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at this. Can I please look at the article? This thing is trying to cock block me. Where are we at? Titus's first Nintendo 64 title, Lamborghini 64, and the upcoming Superman 64, based in the animated series and Quest for Camelot, will all arrive as complete games on cartridges. Because the games will be 64 DD compatible, they have all been designed to work with the peripheral. Tentatively due in the US in Q2 1998. Nope, never arrived. So that's that one. So that's a very short article. So at that time, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to come about. We hoped, and here we go. No, this is 98. We're still going to stay in 97 here. Because 97, we became aware of the... Okay, so here's May 27th, 1997. Titus sets a new schedule. These are IGN articles. Okay. The makers of upcoming games Lamborghini 64 and Superman 64 set new dates. So for Superman 64, would get a November 21st. They talked about this over the phone from THQ. I'm trying to find that article with that chubby looking piece of shit with the 5 o'clock shadow. Was like, there was one picture of him, okay, the guy in charge of Titus during that time. He's like, oh yeah, we got this game coming out. Like, I'm looking for that article, but I can't find it. So for right now, we got these dates, right? Now, there was a more superior game, and Vinny Vinesauce was supposed to play it. It was the Superman for the PlayStation. Too bad we didn't get that one. There is a prototype that's floating around. I don't know if it's emulated, but there was a prototype video floating around. Now, those are the Shadow Goons that Superman is fighting over there. I don't know if I can show enlarge to show. There we go. Let's show you. Let's show you a little bit there. Let's give a little bit more there, because you like seeing this stuff, right? Okay, let's scroll down for more articles here. Oh my God, the timeline is amazing. Just looking back at all this shit. Let's see, what do we got here? Titus. Okay. Oh, here we got an interview with the creators of Titus the Multiplayer. Let's see if we have anything for Superman 64. This is November 12th, 1997. Okay, here we go. So, let's see. Hold on. I'm taking a year to find the article I just ran into. Let's see if he has anything to say about Superman 64. In here, this is the guy in charge. Oh, the creator of Titus's Multiplayer Racer. Okay. Okay, so let's find out if he has anything to say about Superman. Yeah, I got this game, I think about $50. Okay. Last question. Are you involved in the other Titus N64 projects, Quest for Camelot and Superman? This is Stevens. This is the guy who created the multiplayer game for Lamborghini 64. So Stevens says, I'm involved in the Superman project, but not directly. Having the most experience on the N64, I get asked a lot of questions, and I wrote some custom tools during the development of L64 that will continue to be enhanced and used for Superman. But I've been penciled in to produce the Quest for Camelot game once L64 is completed. So I guess I'll be pretty occupied trying to compete with Zelda 64. Not an easy task. I assure you, and after that, Lamborghini 2. So hopefully he completed his work on Zelda. I don't know if this guy got kicked off of Zelda or what. So now we're going to skip to 1998. We're going to go to 1998. Because that's where it gets interesting. So March 19th, 1998. Superman still flying despite delay. So we did not get this game in 1998. It was supposed to be for Superman's 60th anniversary. Titus Software told IGN64.com today that Superman 64, based on the animated series of The Man of Steel, is already 85 to 95% complete. The development team is in the process of putting the finishing touches on the game, and it will show at E3 in complete playable form this May. As expected, Superman must rescue Lois, who has been kidnapped by Lex Luthor. They spell Luthor with an E. The fully 3D polygonal game boasts interactive environments and an evil cast of characters for everyone's favorite hero to do battle with, and then, of course, there's the flying part. Despite Superman's stage of completion, the game's release date has slipped from June to July 25th. We know better, don't we? I think I bought this game brand new. I think I bought it at either Funko Land, Electronics Boutique, or some store. Because this was before GameStop. There was no GameStop yet. So, let's see. Where are we at here? 1998. So here's another one. This is June 22nd, 1997. Superman fails to fly. This is before that, the last one I showed you. Titus shows off an extremely early version of its Superman title, though we're not sure it was the best of ideas. Although Titus should be recommended because of its efforts to show you as many titles as possible, Superman wasn't such a stunning idea. The possibly 20% complete version of Superman was displayed at Titus' booth and showed a few scenes including early polygonal models of empty rooms and an early version of Lex Luthor, just like from the animated series cartoon. For a true fan, the game probably looked great, but because it was at least something to show. But to the casual observer or the jaded critic, the game just looked poor. Of course, it's hard to judge a game until it's done, and there is a long time between now and the finished version, if we only knew. But with so many other games near completion or complete, it may have been evident that Superman just isn't complete enough to show. In any case, the game was definitely placed in an area difficult to get to, and unless you were looking for it, you'd miss it. Based on the animated series, Superman 64 pits our favorite superhero against longtime foe Lex Luthor. Oh, with an O, okay. And includes Lois Lane, who must be rescued from the deadly inventor Megalomaniac. The Lexoscale 5000 is Lexor's latest invention. Superman must destroy it or save Metropolis before things get out of hand. Now, I have 5 images here, and I'm going to turn this off. Goodbye, McFarlane's Superman, for a moment. I want to show you the images. I'm going to see if you can see them. Oh, the images cannot be seen. Oh, that's sad. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I remember what some of those images look like, by the way. Oh, I do. Let's see. What else we got here? We're just going to go through these. It doesn't matter which chronological. June 1st. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Actually, it does matter because we have the article before the review and then the review. Eric Cahan of Titus Software. I think this is the article I'm looking for. This is the piece of shit that I was talking about. Okay, hold on. So I got Eric Cahan. Okay, so this is May 6th. Titus's founder chats with IGN64 about the company's future lineup. So this is the guy that talked about the game. Let me see. He didn't say much. He didn't have much to say. We're going to find the Superman stuff, of course. And Tomb Raider. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So, I want to get out of that, please. Let me read article. Okay. Where are we at? Okay, Superman. IGN64.com asks, how complete is the game and when will it be out? Eric says, we'll be showing a very significant demo during the E3 show. Depending on industry reaction and the comments about that demo, we will finish the game between the end of June and the end of September. But I can tell you that the game is really original and really cool to play. Is that so? Does it look like this guy's having a good time? Oh, barely. I think you get the X-ray. By the way, there's only one icon for the X-ray vision. That's in the reservoir, the water power plant. You know what I mean? So only in the dam where the water is, you only get the X-ray vision there. It's amazing. Anyway, IGN asks, what exactly do you do in the game? Eric responds, we wanted to create the first superhero-based video game where players really behave as a superhero. So of course you control Superman's movement in full 3D. The camera is following Superman's character like a la Tomb Raider. And jump, fight, but you can also fly very fast. Use X-ray vision to see through certain walls. Heat vision, X-ray vision is very rarely used. Heat vision to burn some objects or enemies, or you can lift big objects, even cars or pickups, and throw these objects at bad guys. The character's object background interactions system is so complex that you can throw a car that will collide into another car, and that will push a third object that will kill an enemy next to it. Well, if you set it up right, yes, you could, but no. The game concept is mission-based, over 15 different missions with limited time, where Superman must save somebody before time runs out. How does the multiplayer option work? How many players can participate in multiplayer? Eric says, multiplayer mode 2 to 4 is a full 3D 3x360 shooter over Metropolis. Each character is controlling a small flying spaceship and has to find the other players and shoot them down. There are other important bonuses to pick up: extra ammo, extra energy, and you have to avoid exploding mines. However, you can shoot a mine that is next to another player, which will hurt them. How often can players fly in the game? How does it work? Well, that's the one thing that does work, is the flying. And you can move super fast too. In single player mode, in order to fly, you just have to double press the 8 button on the control pad for a moment to take off. Superman can fly in every level, but in some areas it is not really appropriate as the ceiling can be very low. What villains can we expect to see in Superman? Lex Luthor, Darkseid, Parasite, Jaxer, Mala, Bizarro. Nope, no Bizarro, though I remember seeing a Bizarro model somewhere. And Shadow Walkers and Brainiac. How big will the game be cart-sized? Not disclosed, sorry. Anyway, we did not crunch the data yet, probably not very much. So we don't know the ROM configuration that we will be using at the end. How smoothly does the game run, frame rate? Eric says currently it's running at 20 frames per second on average, But we have some optimizations that we'll be doing after the show. How complete is Roadsters? Okay, so he goes on about Roadsters. Oh my god. Oh my god. So let's see. Titus update. So this is August 24th, 1998. New shots and renders Roadsters and Superman. Now, I don't know if that's in here or if they didn't put it in here. Let's take a look. Those images are gone, I think. Yeah. I could probably find it somewhere in the search engine, but... Okay, so now let's get to the June 1999 stuff. Superman Fighting Force ship. And Superman, an 8 megabit cartridge. Retails for the attractive low price of $64.95. Oh my god. Really? Is that how much we paid for that? While the other game, whatever it's called, weighs in at $59.90. Oh shit, $64.95? Is that how much I paid? Fucking hell. That was a long goddamn time ago. Let's see. Let's see where we're at. Here we go. IGN Superman N64 review. I can remember this like it was yesterday. This Superman definitely doesn't fly. IGN 64, you're going to love this review. Has the review of Titus's superhero-inspired atrocity. Everybody knows of Superman. The American icon began his life as a unique comic book character in 1938. Penned and written by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Drawn by Joe Shuster. And penned and written. The Man of Steel debuted in Action Comics' first issue and has been overwhelmingly popular ever since. Almost 60 years later, Superman is still an American favorite, appearing in everything from comic books to television shows, movies, and cartoons. So it should come as to no surprise that the figure described as faster than a speeding bullet has raced to a Nintendo 64 near you. Unfortunately for Nintendo 64 owners, though, the Titus Software developed game is executed so poorly that it actually serves to butcher the reputation of the prominent action hero. The facts. Play as Superman through 14, not 15, alternating indoor-outdoor levels. Use the Man of Steel's special abilities for flight, heat vision, freeze breath, super strength, and X-ray vision. Pick up and use objects as weapons. Battle on land, underwater, or in the sky against such villains as Metallo, the Parasite, Darkseid, and Lex Luthor's minions. 4-player compatible modes. I played the multiplayer. It wasn't much of anything. The multiplayer you can just skip. Game comes with Collector's Edition Superman comic book. I'll show you that comic book later if I can. Now the story is the history behind Titus's 3D polygonal Superman is long and filled with setbacks. The game was originally scheduled to debut close to a year ago, but was pushed back due to a less than stellar reaction from Electronic Entertainment Expo 98 showgoers. With concerns ranging from gameplay hindering frame rates to unforgivably unresponsive controls, it was certainly a wise decision on Titus's part to hold back the title. The problem is that the recently released finished product still has these flaws, bugs, and oversights. In fact, the game is practically drowning in them. Perhaps the biggest problem of all, though, is that the game just isn't very fun. And as far as storyline goes, straight from the game's instruction booklet, we are informed that Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen have disappeared. They have been kidnapped by the malevolent powers of Lex Luthor and Brainiac, who have brought them into a virtual reality version of Metropolis. Not exactly an epic tale, but it sure beats Titus's previous explanation for the game's graphic flaws. Namely that a thick screen of fog present in the title was in fact kryptonite fog deployed by Lex Luthor in an effort to destroy Superman. Right. Imagine all the developers explain their game's visual limitations and storyline, like, quote, no, these are not jumpy frame rates you're seeing. Superman is merely... Yeah, we'll get to that quote in a minute. Superman's merely drunk, which also blurs his vision considerably, end quote. Or maybe, quote, you've got it all wrong. That is not clipping. Superman is simply using his X-ray vision to look through the walls, end quote. While it would certainly make for some interesting story additions, it would most likely also rapidly ruin the gaming industry. Oh my god. Gameplay. Gamers take control of Superman through 14 missions that range in size and difficulty. Some levels see the Man of Steel racing through the skies of Metropolis, picking up automobiles and other objects, and hurling them across the city at enemies, while others take place deep underground or even underwater. Each level begins with an objective that must be accomplished by everyone's favorite superhero. In some cases, this can be simple as flying through rings, much more difficult than it sounds thanks to unbearable controls, while later levels put forward more difficult tasks such as retrieving access cards and or disarming bombs. Superman is manipulated with the analog stick. The Z button works to send the superhero soaring into the air, or if players are already airborne, to land. Because controls are so clumsy, it often takes 6 or 7 taps of the Z button before Superman will do anything other than stutter around retardedly. Once airborne, controlling the Man of Steel is a whole other adventure altogether. Strangely, he seems to be neither faster than a speeding bullet nor more powerful than a locomotive. Actually, the sluggish polygonal mutant Titus has created moves more like a hovering couch. Turning around can take 5 or 6 seconds, while landing or taking off sometimes feels as if they're completely up to chance. Hello, I pressed the damn Z button. Is he going to do anything? The answer, more often than not, is no. The method by which objects are picked up or not in Superman is reason enough to think twice about the game. Though it says in the instruction booklet that flying into an object automatically picks it up, we found this to be completely untrue on multiple occasions. Rather than flying into an object, let's see where we're at here. 21 minutes in. Rather than flying into an object result in Superman convulsing or flying around it, or even better, picking it up for a split second then flying on without it, the training mission is a perfect example of this. In it, Superman must pick up a car on the street before Lex Luthor's minions can blow it up. Worse yet, the Man of Steel has only a few seconds to execute the act before a timer runs out and the player loses. Okay, this seems like a fair goal, right? Not always. Sometimes the level starts and Lex Luthor's minions blow up the car right off the bat, long before Superman can ever reach it, despite his super speed. How is that fair? Supposing the AI gives players a chance the next time around. It's often so difficult to pick up the vehicle before the computer-controlled characters blow it to smithereens, and that's just not worth the effort. And then we continue on to the various bugs of the game. After 10 minutes of play, we found a neat little feature that lets us clip through all the walls in the Superman's unit. I did this before, too. At first, we thought it was X-ray vision, but when we reappeared in the regular world, only to be knee-deep in the floor, well, something seemed a bit out of place. Pathetically, we found ourselves having more fun walking through the walls than we did playing the working game. Other fun quote-unquote features include sometimes non-existent collision detection and worthless AI that automatically shoots above Superman's shoulder. Multi-baffling mode, controlling multiple versions of Superman and friends, imagining soaring to the rooftops, circling around, shooting off your... So this talks about the multiplayer is complete. Race mode, on the other hand, the guy that worked on the race mode for this, right? It's baffling. Not only do players control more spaceships, why, but rings shoot from the backside of one opponent. We played with this mode for a short time before giving it up in utter confusion. Later we cried and decided never to speak of this so-called race again. Yeah. The one good thing about the multiplayer feature is that it's smooth frame rates, something not even the single-player game can achieve. Multiple different weapons and obtainable. They're only represented with a change of sound. Instead of bleep, players get bloop. Woohoo! The graphics. Unfortunately, Superman is not saved by its eye-popping graphics. The game has this very rushed, careless feel about that overflows until its visuals. In a smothering field of fog sits Metropolis. One moment. In a field of fog sits Metropolis. Superman can fly into fog or down the fog. Straight ahead, meanwhile, awaits more fog, and behind, good old fog. Amazingly enough, all this fog does little to tame the title's jittery, sometimes slideshow-like frame rates. Honestly, there are occasions where the frame rates drop so low that the game becomes nearly unplayable. And it's not as if all of Nintendo 64 power has gone to animation routines. Superman and Friends feature an estimated 20 frames of animation between them. Punching is done with 2 or 3 frames, while flying eats up 4 or 5. Everything, and we do mean everything, looks very robotic and unconvincing. The animated series for which the game is based on will never be known for its top-quality animation, but compared to the game, it looks like a multi-million-dollar Disney feature film. I love that quote. I love this paragraph so much. Clipping also plays a major part in this virtual metropolis. I like the city, to be honest, if I may say. It was better than what Spider-Man was in terms of the scale and scope, but it's still covered in fucking fog. Like, if you weren't flying through rings, if you just looked around the city and maybe it had people in it, you would enjoy this more. But I mean, this is the first time you see a 3D city for a superhero game, by the way. Anyway, you're drowning in water there. Clipping plays a part. Maybe it's because Superman is in a virtual reality world, but everything from trees to buildings and enemies clips, especially when the Man of Steel is up close and personal. Top everything off with the fact that the game runs in constant letterbox mode, and we think we have a winner or loser. This is not a visually striking game. The only thing moderately good that we can think about it is that it's not blurry. The sound samples in Superman are actually well done. This problem is that there are only a handful of them. In the beginning of the game, we hear Lex Luthor say, in short time, I thought it was Brainiac. In short time, your fate will be sealed, Superman. The level begins and Superman says, then there is no time to waste. That sounds pretty good, we say to ourselves. And the next level kicks in and Superman says, then there is no time to waste. It's at this point that we begin to wonder what the hell is going on. The next area kicks in and the Man of Steel says, you guessed it, then there is no time to waste. This also happens whenever a player dies. Flying up to the limits of the sky, on the other hand, gives us a whole new sample of Lex Luthor laughing. You go, ha ha ha, right? And this is meant to mean that Superman cannot escape the virtual reality world, no doubt. And then somewhere he says, this looks like a job for Superman. Like, it sounds like somebody else. I bet you it's Eric Cahan, the former Titus developer there. I bet you he just like phoned it in there. Like, we can't afford any more Tim Daly samples. We gotta just phone it in. Just nobody will know the difference. That music. Anyway, the music in the game is doable, though it becomes more and more negative as levels progress. It's obvious that sound effects and music were not one of Titus's main priorities for Superman. Now that we think about it, though, we're not sure if the developer put forth any priorities over this title other than to finish it. The verdict is, having grown up with the Man of Steel, Superman for Nintendo 64 is a huge, whopping disappointment for me. In fact, the game is so all-around poorly executed that it's downright offending to people like myself who have enjoyed the comic books, movies, television shows, and more based upon the America icon. Not only is this subpar effort one of Super Nintendo 64's worst games, it serves as even more proof that it takes more than a solid license to make a solid game. With horrible control, unforgivable frame rates, and more bugs that can be counted, Titus should be absolutely ashamed of this awful game, and the company should be doubly ashamed for pissing all over such a beloved license. Do not buy this piece of garbage. You burn it. You set it on fire. Here's the score, everyone. The classic score from June 1st, 1999, or June 2nd, I think it was. June 2nd, 3.4. But about 2 weeks later, here's this one. Superman enjoys super sales. This is June 15th, 1999. So N64 owners defy critical blessings and common sense to make Superman 64 a top seller in early June. Though Titus Superman for N64 was called everything from the worst Nintendo 64 game ever to a piece of garbage by critics, the game still managed to make the top-selling list for the first week of June, according to TRST data compiled by the NPD Group. So, the Man of Steel beat out other release games like Mech Warriors 3, Star Wars Episode 1 for PC, and Mario Party, to name a few. Wow. So, the data goes to show that our time here on Earth is no doubt nearing its end. As worldwide Armageddon cannot be far away now. Titus wasn't quoted as saying, for Superman 2, we plan to feature many kangaroos. The top 10 selling interactive games includes PC and handheld series. So I think here, let's see. So here it is. Here is the top 10 lists. Okay. So I'll turn out the light for you. So here you can see Mech Warrior 3, Superman beats that, but Super Mario Bros. Deluxe beats that for Game Boy Color. I have that game. Ridge Racer Type 4 beats that. And you got Pokemon Super Smash Brothers. At the very top, number 3 is PSX Lunar, number 2 is Pokemon Blue, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. This is the comic book that came out. I remember this very well. It's like the idea was that everything was 2D, but the virtual world was in 3D. Kind of like Homer Simpson when he went to go find Bart. The prototype images I remember, these two I remember. One where Superman was fighting Metallo in a garage, but instead he picks up Darkseid and delivers him to the police. That was what the final showing was. And here's Darkseid for some reason tossing a school bus at Superman. We don't get that. Oh my god, that looks cringe. Anyway, here's Bizarro, right? There's Bizarro that we didn't get. That's not Tim Daly. So that's Bizarro. So my final thoughts is that, yeah, it's unfortunate, but this is an example of what you could do wrong. I mean, the Titus also released a Game Boy game, and I played a little bit of that. I think Angry Joe was talking about Superman, and I showed a little bit of that. Ugh, you don't need those. You don't need that. Now, of course, Shadow of Apocalypse came out on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, and that was a much better game, though it was repetitive. That was a much better game. The Xbox Superman Man of Steel, based on the comic book, was not very good, and we haven't had a Superman game since. And what we got was way worse. Or which is worse? Would you rather play this or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? You let me know in the comments below. Happy 25th, Superman. And forever, every game with rings is compared to Superman and not Pilot Wings. Sorry, Pilot Wings.